I'll try my best. I apologize, but I'll try my best at it. And if y'all go to 1 Timothy chapter 3, that's where we'll start. And we're going to be talking about bishops and deacons and what the requirements are, what we should look for. If you go to 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, it says, "This is a true saying, if a man desire the office of bishop, he desired a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, and not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man knoweth not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God?" Amen. And I was wondering, why would anybody want to be a bishop? You know, and I went back a little bit, and I think it was in Ephesians. It says, "But unto every one of us is given a grace according to the measure of gift of Christ. Wherefore he said, when he ascended up high, he led the captivity and gave gifts unto men. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers." So, you know, I guess everybody is given a gift, and if you think you should be in leadership, you should strive for it, because there's not enough people helping the church. So, too many times we just depend on the pastor to do this, to do that, and everything else. But a bishop is an overseer. That's what I read. And, he has to have certain qualities to be a bishop. Like it said, he should be blameless. Now, he shouldn't, and a husband of one wife. So he should be a good character. He shouldn't be involved in.
You know why he said one woman? If you can't get along with one, why try two?
It says overseer. So I don't know if he should be over the pastor. I couldn't find it. I looked around. But I read where it said bishop and elders are used kind of one for the other. They can meet, and a bishop is supposed to oversee the church, oversee the local congregation, and the bishop his duty is to teach and preach. So I guess but then I also saw one where it said a pastor. You know, that's one of his duties too. So I guess a bishop is over a pastor, but, you know,
When I was a kid, they called the pastor of the church reverend.
reverend.
Now they changed it over to bishop.
Mm. Okay,
You'll never know.
but,
Well, how can you be a teacher or preacher and not really be alive because you're required? Going back to that,
yeah,
you know, how can you tell the congregation not to do this or that and he's going to Vegas to gamble, having social drinks and all that. You can't do
that,
that.
that's why it says,
I thought about that the other day, and I thought, I better keep my mouth shut.
that's why it says,
That's true.
must be blameless,
Yeah.
you know? And, later on, we might get into, because, the reason, I guess, is because how many times have you met somebody that says, well, I'm a Christian? They'll say this and they'll say that and so forth. Then when nobody's looking, they'll do something that's not Christian-like. Now, if you have a bishop or somebody that's higher up, how many people can he turn away? Because they're going to say, how can somebody be in that position and still act that way? You know, how can he be, you know, overseeing a church and still live? That's why you have to be blameless.
The Lord don't expect any more.
Sir?
The Lord don't expect any more of the one that cleans the church than the one that's pastoring. He expects us to be holy, live a holy life.
Yes, sir.
Everybody.
Everybody. Because we all are going to give an accounting for
I
ourselves.
think where we get in trouble sometimes, I used to, when I was real young, I thought the preacher hung the moon, you know, but I found out the Lord hung it.
After he created it. Yes, sir. Yeah. You know, it says here in verse 3, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous. So, you know, that kind of covers a lot of area, you know. And the what I take from that is that you don't want to become a bishop or an elder for the money. You want to do it to serve God, you know, because just think about it. When the church first started, they were probably very hated, very everybody was out to get them, you know. So who would want to be in that position unless they really wanted to serve God? And you know, he being blameless, simply stated, comes to ministry leadership. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. And that comes from Proverbs 22, verse 1. And I wrote this from Proverbs 22. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Verse 2, the rich and the poor meet together. the Lord is the maker of them all. And verse 3, a prudent man foresees the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. So, you know, fear of the Lord is very important in everything that we do. Not to be afraid of him, but to have him in awe of his power, you know. And we have to, every once in a while, remind ourselves who we are. You know, we are nothing, and we're here to love the Lord above everything else. But I get caught up in stuff and I forget, and I imagine a lot of us do. So now, for being, let's see, now, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjugation with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? That's very important too, how we train up our kids, you know, because kids are also a reflection on us, you know, if all of a sudden your kids or your grandkids start talking bad, where did they learn that from? And if they do it in front of you, you have to correct them right away. You have to tell them, no, we don't do that, we don't say that. You might have to explain why or so forth, but you know.
Brother, looking at that earlier, you can train them up, the more impressionable they are.
Yes.
They sponge it up, you know, they soak it up like a sponge. I noticed that with Judith. You know, she just is like a sponge. She absorbs everything she learns in Sunday school.
They're
It's so beautiful to teach them while they're young than to wait until it's too late, you know. But it's never too late, but, you know, until they're so far gone, they don't really have interest, you know.
they're sponges, but they're also recorders. Because if they hear you say something, they'll say it too. You know. So if you teach them right, they'll be saying good stuff. You know. So then in verse 6 is not a novice, lest being filled with the pride he falleth in condemnation of the devil. So, and what they mean by not a novice is somebody that's new to the faith, somebody that's barely been saved. I guess they haven't been through any trials or anything. They haven't been, you know, because when we first come to faith, you know, everything seems great, but then problems come along, and how you deal with those problems really and truly kind of depends on your faith in the Lord. Will you turn away from the Lord because some big problem came your way and you said, you know, why did he abandon me? Why did he do? But that's not it. You know, he's always training us for better things, to serve him. It might not seem that way, but you know, also when you have been more you pick up, how can you say, more wisdom and how to deal with people, how to deal with certain situations. So if you're a novice, you might less being lifted up with pride, it says here. So if you think, well, you know, I'm already a so-and-so in this church and so on and so forth, it might go to their head. And then they might act different. They, how can I put it this way? I'll give you an example. You have a lot of these preachers on the television. They have a big pride, a big, you know, and if you start to test what they're saying against the Bible, they come up short a lot of times, you know. But even though a lot of them have been in it for a long time, I think it's has to do with the pride of how far they've gotten, how much they've gotten, and so on and so forth. So we have to know who we put in that position, or what their qualifications, what their character is. So that list is good for us to see what is asked of them and what we should look out for. Then there's also in the verse 8, likewise must the deacon be grave, not double-tongued, not given to wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the mysteries of faith in pure conscience, and let these also first be proved. Then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Now, from what I read, a deacon is one who serves, you know, and he's so he serves in the church. I guess he might be, you know, taking care of the one example I found was in the, let's see, Acts, I think. Where the church was growing so big, and they had to minister to the widows and everything, and they appointed several people to work with them so they could concentrate on prayer and so forth. Let me see if I can find it. I thought I had it written down here somewhere. But a deacon is service, so, let's see.
I think it's a server to the pastor, whatever the pastor wants to do. You take people to help out.
Yes, sir. Cause, the pastor can't do everything. Yeah, you know, so,
Okay.
yeah.
You get to the server.
He's a worker in the church, yeah. And I had it in here somewhere. But anyway, a deacon also has to have certain qualities. And they are similar.
You notice the business side.
Sir?
Did you notice the business side, the one that gives the most money to the church?
No. It's a service, you know. Okay, in Timothy verse 11. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderous, sober, faithful in all things. Let the deacons be husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own house well. For they that have used the office of a deacon will purchase to themselves a good degree and great boldness in the faith which is Jesus Christ. These things I write unto you, hoping to come unto thee shortly.
You didn't run all over the church and run always uptown all over everything else. No, you were taught this is the house of God. You know, I don't sound mean. I don't mean to be. I think God already knows that. We should teach our children to come to the reverence, the house of God.
Yes, sir. You should be, the house of God should be like your home, but it also should be a place of reverence where you know it's really God's, it's not yours. You should be comfortable enough to come in. Yes, that's the way, where you should respect it, yes. You know,
Gotta be some kind of visitation. They go to class, they go to school. You never had all that. You sit down and very good work. Some good, you know, very good. After that, you sit down and you get good rest and that's it.
you know, last week I had to go for jury duty. And they give us a whole bunch of rules. You know, you can't wear this, you can't wear that, you can't, you got to turn off your phone, you got to do this, you got to do that. Yeah, take off your cap. You can't have sunglasses, so on and so forth. Yeah, you know, and you can't even carry a pocket knife with you in there and everything like that. And And I thought, And the judge, when he walks in, you have to stand up for him and everything else. And I said, he demands all this. How much more should the church be? How much more should we reverend God? It's just a judge. Yeah, a judge can send you to jail or whatever, but if you don't reverend God, you can go to hell. So what's greater, And it just kind of opened my eyes to that, because, like I said, they said no flip-flops, no this, no that, no torn shirts, no, You had to respect that. And how much more should we respect the church? And
I want to people to get offended by all these rules. Or not,
yeah,
all about it.
we're how can we say, I guess sometimes the church tries to make it to not to offend people, to make them feel comfortable, but I guess the first time somebody comes in, we should just, accept them, love them, so on, and try to show them. Then try to later on try to tell them, hey, we, we don't come to school, and to church in shorts, and women should dress so and so. Not because we say it, but because it's respect for the church, for the Lord, and because you can also get so how can I put it, complacent, that you come here so often that you say, yeah, well, just this time, or too, like sometimes some of us that are working late or something, it's better for us to just come in as we are than to miss the service. But if you have time, it'd be nice to clean up, just to show respect to the house. I'm not saying that like I said, it's great to have you here, so you can hear the word and everything else, but it's to respect the house of the Lord, because it's not ours, it's His. Let's see, where was I?
And if you come to really seek the Lord, Holy Spirit will
Yes,
bring conviction.
conviction. Yes, yeah. You'll check yourself. Is this appropriate or not? And yeah.
Kind of funny, but I thought, what the Lord said, He told the Lord, I don't have time. And the Lord says, you have time for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the Gospels where it says that a man was having a feast and people weren't showing up, and somebody showed up that wasn't properly attired, and he had him kicked out. And I think we ought to think about the house of the Lord as something similar. We should always try to come in properly attired, properly, to the best of our abilities. you know.
Twin brother, preacher, and one time we were listening to this guy down around Winters, lays out in country, just country too. And my brother said, "Why in the world do you stand in country?" I said, "That's the route that the Lord called you to take." Well, I think sometimes we kind of pick and choose who God wants to save. He'll save the other ones. That's who I believe.
Yes,
You know, I like that verse, when I see things different in the church that don't look right and live better, we're not blind. But it says, looking unto Jesus. You don't put your confidence, I don't mean this mean, but you don't put your sole confidence in a man. He might lead you wrong. And the word has already told you, put your confidence in me. And I tell you, it'll turn out a whole lot better.
yes. You know, you put your confidence in the Lord, like anybody that's built or worked on something, you put your confidence in something that is true, like a tape measure. If it's true or a level, but it has to be true. Because if it's not true, at the end of the line, you're going to end up with something that's off, and then you can't correct it. But if match everything against the Word of God, and you won't fail, because the Word of God is true. You test it. You don't test it. How can I put it this way? You make sure that it's right according to the Word of God. Because, like Johnny said, you don't trust a man because he might lead you astray. He might be wrong. But if you trust the Lord, you'll be better off in the long run. And I was just thinking of that because some things that some time back, if you start building something, and Johnny probably knows this better than most of us, if everything's not set up right, once you start pouring that concrete, you're gonna have a hard time trying to, especially if it has to be square all the way around. If it's off, once it's set, it's bad. Yeah.
I know this young guy that I tried to help start the concrete one time. He called me up, boy, he was mad. He said, "The city turned me in." I said, "Why did they turn you in?" Well, they said 12 inches deep. I dug it 11 and 11 and a half. I said, "Well, what did they put the say?" He said, "I had to take all my stuff out and breathe it in." And I thought, well, question's over with. Why didn't you just do it?
Yeah.
Let it fix. One of these days when we meet God, which is serious, He's gonna be God ain't gonna argue with nobody. And you done what the Word said. That's simple.
Mhm. Yeah. He's the one that's gonna. Hopefully, he'll say, "Good and faithful servant, come on in."
And you know what, Brucey? That day is coming, but God
And he's given us a little bit more time to get our loved ones, you know, try to get them saved too, you know. So sometimes we think, oh man, I wish he'd come now. But he doesn't want to leave anybody that can't be saved. Because you've heard stories of people that, you know, their parents have tried, their family has tried, everything has tried. Then all of a sudden, many years later, they come to the Lord. So we have to keep trying. And I'm sorry, guys, that's